Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back. In this video, we are looking at the MLB slate for Monday. We have an 11-game slate to work with today, so let's get started. As always, appreciate if you guys hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Looking at the totals and the lineups today, we got a few teams in really good spots. It starts with the Blue Jays, whose offense has been the best in baseball at home, averaging 5.9 runs per game at home, facing off against Nick Pivetta, who gives up home runs, gives up hits, gives up just runners on base, gives up some walks. Expect the Blue Jays to be able to put up some runs again today. The Reds also in a very appealing spot. The Reds, Mets, both teams you can stack in this one. I like the Reds a little bit more just because looking at Jared Eichhoff's numbers, they are absolutely putrid against lefties. Back when he was with the Phillies, they were awful against lefties. Hasn't changed. In a 1,000 batter sample size, almost 971. He has a 552 slugging given up against lefties with almost a 300 average. This year in a smaller sample size, he has a 407 average, given up already 5 home runs in just 29 batters and a 1,000 slugging. And back in 2019, nothing has really changed. 308 average, 782 slugging. So looking at this lineup, a lot of the lefties look super appealing, especially Winker at $4,200. Naquin at only $2,500 makes a ton of sense. The Mets side, they are a little bit more expensive, but I still like getting to like Michael Conforto would be my favorite play on the Mets just because he's super affordable at only $3,400 in the outfield spot. And then you have the Rays. Any team facing off against Baltimore is going to look appealing to stack just because they have the worst pitching staff in the MLB. They don't even have a couple of, like, some of these guys are just bullpen pieces that they're forcing to start games for them and forcing them to go a couple innings. But the Rays look appealing, especially some of these guys on FanDuel are super affordable, like Wander Franco's like $2,500 on FanDuel. He looks great. On DraftKings, they're a little bit better price, but I still look to Austin Meadows, Randy Arozarena, a couple of guys I like to get to a little bit. So those are the top like 3 or 4 teams to stack today. I think the Houston Astros make some sense against JC Mejia, especially Michael Brantley at only $3,500. He's been struggling a little bit, but anytime he's facing off against a righty, I'll have some interest. He's just that good of a hitter at only $3,500. Just really too cheap compared to everybody else on the team. And then the Diamondbacks, I have to like a couple of them, especially Cole Calhoun, whose price tag hasn't changed. If he's going to continue to be $2,000, batting second against a bad righty, I'll have some interest there. You can look to Christian Walker as a first base option. He's been hitting the ball better recently. And that's basically it. So looking at the pitching options, you don't have a ton of studs here. You have Kevin Gausman, who's listed as out on DraftKings, but he's going to play. See, here's activated. He's going to start Monday's game against the Dodgers. He is the best pitcher on the board today, and there's not really much of a question. DARVISH is in the mix, but he is also coming off the injured list, and who knows if he is going to see close to 100 pitches. I mean, he hasn't missed too much time, but heading into that, he got absolutely beat up against the Nats. I still like DARVISH, but I think I can look to Kevin Gausman, who's just super consistent all season. Gives you a ton of strikeout upside, goes very deep into games. You can expect him to get you at least 90, probably closer to 100 pitches. And then for my SP2, I mean, I don't really want to pay 9K for Kyle Gibson. He's been good this year, but a lot of the time he just gets you like 12 to 20. Very few times has he topped over 20 DraftKings points, and that's because his strikeout numbers are just not there. He's very good at limiting damage, but only 88 strikeouts in 102 innings. I'd much rather pay $1,000 more for Kevin Gausman, who is in a tougher spot, but he's averaging well north of K per inning this year, and teams have really struggled to hit against him. So I think he's in for another very good outing. And then for my SP2, I like Shohei OHTANI. Not a ton of other good viable options here. OHTANI's been super solid this year in terms of pitching. Also very good with the strikeouts. And he's always pretty affordable on DraftKings. Very few times has he been like 9K, 10K as a pitcher. Facing off against Oakland in this ballpark, I think even if he does give a couple of long fly balls, good chance that they don't leave the ballpark. So Gausman, OHTANI, 2 very good strikeout pitchers I'll start my lineup with. At first base, you have a bunch of options. You can go all the way up for Vlad Guerrero Jr. at $6,300. I think you can make some sense to go with like Ji-Man Choi, $4,800. If you wanted to go even cheaper, you have Josh Bell here. But I think you can make it work going all the way down here for a $3,000 Christian Walker. Haven't played him much at all this year, but recently he's been hitting the ball well, 297 in his last 10. He's a very good hitter, but he just strikes out a bunch, 51 strikeouts and 208 at-bats this year. I think he should be able to make some contact against... also, another SP2 that I forgot to mention was John Lester, potentially, but I don't think anybody really likes to play him. But we have Chase DeYoung at $6,900. He's been okay with the strikeouts this year, but I think a guy like Christian Walker might be able to tee him up, and he does give up a ton of power as well. So I don't mind getting a Christian Walker, who on the season, 4 home runs, pretty disappointing in terms of the power thus far. He's been a little bit limited with just 208 at-bats, but I think he's in a good spot to do some damage today. Next up, at second base, we have a bunch of good options here. Marcus Semien is my favorite at $5,800. You can go affordable with like Jonathan India. It's a righty, but he's been very good recently, 324 in his last 10 games. So those are the two that I think look appealing. Escobar should bat leadoff potentially again. He's been fine since he's been acquired by the Nats. At third base, if you wanted to pay up, it would be for Rafael Devers. For me, at $5,800, wanted to go affordable, you have Yandy Diaz, $5,200, still kind of expensive. If you're looking in the 4K or the 3K range, I like Suarez, $37. I like Cavan Biggio at $35. Shortstop, I've been playing Bichette a bunch this year, and I like him again today. $55 against Nick Pivetta. Pivetta on the season, he's been okay with the strikeouts, 113 in 96 innings, so he's good with the strikeouts, but he gives up a ton of power. 14 bombs given up in this ballpark. Giving up a long fly ball, it will leave the park in more parks than not, just because it's such a good hitter-friendly ballpark. And Pivetta gives up a lot of fly balls. He's been good on the road, but this is not your average away ballpark. This is one of the best hitting parks behind like Coors so far this season. Expect Bichette to maybe do some damage. He also Pivetta also gives a ton of walks. Bichette gets a lot of walks himself. He can even steal some bases. So he gives you the power speed combination, which I think against Pivetta you can utilize both aspects of that. In the outfield, I got to go Jesse Winker. Looking at Jared Eichhoff's numbers against lefties, we're getting a discount on Jesse Winker just because he's been struggling a little bit recently. Just 6 hits in his last 42 at-bats. But at least he's not striking out a ton, only 10 Ks in that span. Still gives you a lot of power, 19 bombs on the season. It's at home, which is another very good hitter park against a very bad pitcher against lefties. So I got to like Jesse Winker here. And then Calhoun just makes sense if you wanted to pay up for Gausman and OHTANI. It's only $2,000. The Diamondbacks have probably one of the highest totals they've had all season, touching almost 5 runs today. Calhoun gives you a lot of pop, especially against righties, which is where he's utilized. And DeYoung will probably give up at least 1, maybe 2 home runs. And hopefully, a couple of their better power hitters, Walker and Calhoun, can do some damage today. So that is it for the DraftKings side. Let's go over to FanDuel. All right, on FanDuel, pretty much same type of deal, except the Rays look a lot better on FanDuel. Looking at the price tags on the Rays, you can get Wander Franco at $25. You can get Randy Arozarena at only $2,900. You have Ji-Man Choi at like $2,500. So I gotta like the Rays on FanDuel, but I still love the Cincinnati Reds. Jonathan India batting leadoff is super appealing at only $2,700. Jesse Winker, still like to get to him at $33. And then for my pitcher, I will go with Kevin Gausman, who's been the best pitcher on this slate all season. DARVISH is more expensive than him. OHTANI is only $400 cheaper. So give me Gausman. I'm not too worried. Maybe I'm a little bit worried about the matchup, but I think he'll still be able to get you strikeouts, even if he does give up a couple of runs, which a lot of pitchers will against the Dodgers. If he happens to get like 7, 8, 9 strikeouts, I think he'll be fine. He'll probably end up being like the highest scoring pitcher on both sites. So that's it for the video. Thank you for watching. Best of luck today, and I'll catch you all next time.